Hare Krishna, welcome to our Bhagavatam class on September 22nd, still 2019, still San Diego. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're reading Srimad-Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 3, text 12, which goes as follows. Tatat saptame, which means then in the seventh incarnation. Tatat saptame akutyam, in akuti. In Sanskrit, whenever a man and woman beget a child, it always states that the child is born in the woman or begotten in the woman from the man. That's just grammatically it always says that. So tatak saptame akutyam, in akuti, rucher, from ruchi, yagyo, or yajno, Lord, abhyajayata, directly took birth, sa, he, yamadhyayi, with Yama and others, suraganai, with, who are hosts of suras, devas, demigods, apat, he protected or he governed Swayambhuvantaram, the antara, or the tenure or period of governance of Swayambhuva Manu. Tatak saptama akutyam rucher jagyo bhyajayata sadyama dhyaik suraganayar apat Swayam Bhuvantaram. So, Prabhupada has an interesting comment on this. Prabhupada states here in the purport, the administrative posts occupied by the demigods for maintaining the regulations of the material world are offered to the highly elevated, pious living beings when there is a scarcity of such pious living beings. In other words, there's no one to take the position. The Lord incarnates himself as Brahma, Prajapati, Indra, etc., and takes up the charge. During the period of Swayambhuva Manu, the present period is of Vaivasvata Manu, there was no suitable living being who could occupy the post of Indra, the king of Indraloka. The Lord himself at that time became Indra, assisted by his own sons like Yama, not Yama, this is not Yamaraj, this is Yama, and other demigods. Lord Yajna or Yajna ruled the administration of the universal affairs. So this is interesting, that when there is not a qualified person, Krishna comes himself. And you could say, well, it's a big universe. There's really no one qualified. Possible, of course. And also, it could be that Krishna arranges that there's no such person because he wants to come and set an example. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that Yajadacharti Shestas, whatever the best person does, common people follow. And so from time to time, Krishna may simply come and take the position to remind everyone, this is how you do it. And so it shows Krishna's sincere concern with the universe. After all, he creates the universe to train, to rectify fallen souls. And as a loving father, he is concerned to make sure everything goes right, because if the universe is not managed properly, then his purpose is not being served, which is to create a, I guess you could say a cosmic retraining institution in which conditioned souls can learn how to live properly. And so Krishna personally maintains it, sometimes comes and takes important administrative positions himself. And we see that on earth, Krishna comes as a king. As Lord Rama, he showed how to be a perfect king. Again, as Prithu. Prithu's incarnation is coming up. And we see Krishna showing everyone this is how. So if Krishna is going to show how to be an earthly king, after all, this is just one little planet, certainly how much more important is it to show how to govern many planets, how to take a position of cosmic importance. And Krishna does that. In fact, and also Krishna appears in a family of demigods, as when he appeared as Vamana, the son of Aditi. So Krishna appeared in a demigod family to show how to do that. So Manus, demigods, earthly kings, Krishna does it all. So Ashtame, which means in the eighth incarnation, Meru Devyam, again in Meru Devi, too, however, Naber, from Nabi, Jata was born Urukramaha. This is not Trivikrama. Krama means a step, and Uru means a great step. So this name often refers to Vamana, but here it refers to something else, just means the Lord of great deeds. So Ashtame Meru Devyang too, Nabher Jata Urukrama, Darshayan, showing, Vartma, the path, showing the way, showing the path. Darshayan Vartma, Deera Nam, of the Deeras, showing the way of the Deeras. Sarvashrama Namaskritam. Prabhupada will translate this Deera as the path of sannyasis, or those who really renounce the world. And the Bhagavatam says that those people, or actually it says here that path, technically I'm looking at the grammar here, actually Prabhupada translates it the path of perfection. So technically it's not the people who have renounced who are described as sarvashrama namaskritam, that they are offered obeisances to or bowed to by all the ashramas. Actually, the word sarvashrama namaskritam refers to the path itself, grammatically, and I will spare you the details, but it's quite clear. So, Vartma, there's a path, there is a way which is honored, namaskritam, that is bowed to, people bow to it. Sarvashrama, from all the ashrams, sarvashrama namaskritam. What that means is, and this path was shown by Urukrama, who was born from Meru Devi, in Meru Devi, the mother, from Nabi, the father. So in his purport, Prabhupada, I'm sure following some commentaries, takes this path to be the path of sannyas. And grammatically, it can also mean that in every ashram, which is brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas, in every ashram, one should be a deera. One should be sober, which means not only, not drinking liquor, but one should be wise. One should be, actually, it might be interesting to you to hear from the dictionary all the meanings of the word deera, which is a word which we often have in our literature. So the word deera in the Sanskrit dictionary means intelligent, wise, skillful, clever, steady, which Prabhupada says sober, constant, firm, resolute, brave, energetic, courageous, self-possessed, composed, calm, grave. Again, synonyms for Prabhupada's word of sober: composed, calm, grave, firm, resolute, deep, well-behaved, and so on. So all those are meanings of the word deera. And so the idea is that in every ashram, one should be a deera. It doesn't, in every ashram, whether it's brahmachari or grihastha or vanaprastha, which is actually now a real ashram in ISKCON. There actually are quite a few people, devotees who are vanaprasthas. When we were all younger, in the early days of the movement, vanaprastha was more, like, okay, technically there is such a thing as vanaprastha, but no one really is a vanaprastha. But actually now we do have devotees who are vanaprasthas. And so in every ashram, people should be deeras, and the Lord came himself and showed how to do this. I'm looking to see if Prabhupada gives an appropriate information. Oh, Prabhupada says this is Maharaj Rishabha. Rishabha, who's described in the 5th canto. That's who this avatar is. In the 5th canto, King Rishabha, who is very interesting because just as Lord Buddha is accepted as an avatar of Vishnu, and he created a religion called Buddhism. So among non-devotees, there is a historical figure, or they claim there's a historical figure named Rishabha, who is the founder of Jainism. And Jains are a group now in India. It's a small group, although they're very prosperous because they're the ones who have these radical views on nonviolence. So they sometimes used to wear masks. Some of them still do, I guess, wear masks so they don't breathe in living entities. So ahimsa is a very important part of their tradition, and they actually became quite wealthy. In general, they're prosperous because they didn't farm. They didn't engage in agriculture, since when you kill so many living beings, when you turn up the soil, when you plow, and so on, when you kill weeds. And so they became bankers and merchants in order not to engage in what was for many centuries the most in Mumbai area. But interestingly, the Jewish community in Europe also became prosperous for a similar reason. In the case of the Jains, they didn't engage in agriculture because of views on nonviolence. In the case of the Jews in Europe, they were forbidden because of anti-Semitism, because of discrimination. They were forbidden from many occupations, and therefore they took to those occupations which were allowed them, including banking, because in the Bible there's some statement about you can't charge interest on a loan. And so banking was not an attractive profession for Christians because you couldn't make any money in it. So anyway, but the interesting thing here, Jainism, why is it important if there's so few Jains in the world today? Because thousands of years ago, it was a very big religion. In fact, say roughly 2,000 years ago, or a little more than that, Jainism was as big and prominent in India as Buddhism. It was actually a major religion in India, and there were Jain kingdoms in India. So it was a very important religion. And here you have another view of who that Rishabha really was. There is a view that there is, of course, the view of a non-devotee Rishabha who founded the Jain religion. Jainism tends to be atheistic, although they believe in an eternal soul. It's kind of a little odd, but the soul is eternal and reincarnates until it's liberated, but there's no God. So just like in Sankhya, there's an atheistic Sankhya, as Prabhupada says, and there's a Sankhya given by Kapila. So just as in Buddhism, there's the Buddha who some Buddhists think was an atheist, but the Bhagavatam explains, and Shankara explained, and other Vaishnava teachers explained, that actually Buddha is an avatar of Vishnu who was simply doing the needful at a certain historical time. Similarly, there's the Krishna conscious Sankhya, and you could say the Krishna conscious, not Jainism, but the Krishna conscious Rishabdev, as opposed to the claims made about an atheistic. And they're the same person because they both go naked and they both give up everything and submit themselves to all kinds of bodily trouble, and they have the same name. So here's an interesting point in the Bhagavatam, that here's the real Rishabha, who actually is an avatar of Vishnu. So that's a historical note. Then the next one, Rishi Bir, by the sages, Yachito, requested by the sages. Rishi Bir, Yachito, Beje, he accepted Navamang, the ninth, Parthivang Vapu, the ninth form of avatar, which was that of a king. Sort of an interesting word, Parthiva. The word Prithu literally means very wide or great. And therefore the feminine form of the word Prithu is Prithivi, as in Prithivite Jata, or Prithvi, which means the wide earth. That's what it means, Prithvi or Prithivi, the wide earth. But here's King Prithu appearing now as an avatar. Again, the word Prithu means broad, wide, expansive, extensive, spacious, because, as we'll see, because King Prithu actually, you could say, landscaped and physically managed the earth, which I'll explain. So anyway, he's called Prithu. The feminine form of that word means the earth, the wide earth, Prithivi or Prithvi. So Rishi Bir Yachito, requested by the sages, he accepted, took on the ninth form as a king, and Dugdhe Mang Oshidhir Vipras Tenayang Saushatamaha. So he sort of plowed the earth, or he developed the earth, this earth, and Oshidhir, producing all kinds of minerals and herbs, O sages Vipras and Tenai, because of him, I am this world Sa Ushatamaha. Is beautiful and attractive. So Prithu actually landscaped, developed the earth. We know the story from the fourth canto of the Bhagavatam, that the earth was not producing food to feed people. There were all kinds of problems, and Prithu made the earth beautiful, made it productive, made it beautiful, did sort of very large scale earth moving. And so this is very interesting. Of course, he's also a great king. There's that famous allegorical story where he pursues, was that preaching? I'm sorry, no. Anyway, the story of Prithu, who's born when Vena, the king, is killed, and then his son, he's born as the son from Vena's body. But so Prithu is a very interesting incarnation, someone who physically redoes the planet, the earth, makes it productive in terms of agriculture, and makes it beautiful. So planetary landscaping. Then Rupam sa Jagrahe Matsyam, which means he accepted the form of a fish. Rupam, the form sa Jagrahe, he took on. Rupam sa Jagrahe Matsyam, Chakshu Shodhati Samplave, in the flood, inundation, Prabhupada translates it, the same thing, Samplava, in the ocean flood during the reign of Chakshusha Manu, and Navi, on a boat, Aropya Mahimayam Apad Vaibhasatam Manu. He protected Vaibhaswatam Manu, Mahimayam, when, let's see how Prabhupada translates it, keeping him upon a boat. So yes, so he placed Vaibhaswata Manu on a boat and saved the Manu, and as we know, also saved the Vedas. So this is Lord Fish, and Lord Fish is described actually twice in the Bhagavatam. Or no, is that Lord Varaha? Sorry, take that back, Lord Varaha. That's described twice. Anyway, this is very interesting, coming as a fish. I used to say when I was younger that Krishna is the supreme surfer, because after all, you know, the best surfers in the world, they're always looking for the biggest waves. They go around the world looking for the biggest waves. And so the supreme surfer in the universe surfs the waves of annihilation. I mean, those are the biggest waves in the universe. When the whole world is flooded, and you realize how big the waves are? We're talking about waves that are thousands of miles big. That's a wave. So if someone thinks they're a great surfer, that's the standard. And so Krishna, you think about it, people like to surf or body surf or, boogie boards, used to call them, or an actual surfboard. But if you really want to surf, then you become a fish. Of course, not a stupid fish, those big eyes and little brains, but you become an omniscient fish. You become, Krishna becomes Lord Fish. And he's just, it's such an amazing scene. Here he is, he's got a boat behind him. On the boat, or by this poor Manu who's getting Chakshusha Manu who's getting flooded, puts him on a boat, puts the Vedas in the boat, and then Lord Fish is just surfing the waves of annihilation, pulling this boat behind him. So it's once you understand Krishna, how could you accept anyone else as God? It's just, any other concept of God is just so boring. And so uninteresting. How could you accept a God who's not the supreme surfer? It's an obvious point, isn't it? Krishna is just so much more interesting. And God, you don't want a God that just sits up there like guilty, innocent, or let there be this or let there be that. That's nice, and that's part of the job. But Krishna's a real person. He can do amazing things. So once you really understand Krishna, you're stuck with Krishna. You can't, nothing else will satisfy you because everything else is boring. So next, Suranam, of the Suras and Asuras, demigods and demons, Udadim, Matnatam, who were churning the ocean, Mandarachalam Tadre, he bore, he sustained or held up Mandara mountain. Kamata Rupena, with a tortoise form. Prishta, on his back. Ekadashe, in the 11th incarnation. 11th, Ekadashi. Ekadashi literally means the 11th lunar day of the month. Ekadashi, the 11th lunar day. Prishta, Ekadashe Vibhu, the Almighty Lord. So, Lord Fish, very interesting avatar. Now, Prabhupada used to always laugh and say that that this incarnation of Krishna, his back was itching. And so he just put a mountain on his back and had the demigods and demons, use it as a churning rod. That means that with Vasuki, of course, who was the rope. And so you get this mountain whirling at high speed, a little bit more to the right. So again, Krishna is so funny. He's just so funny, so entertaining. He's young. Krishna, it's not that God is old, but he appears as a young cowherd boy. He really is young. This is the thing that young people would do. In this case, God, but still to play like this, to take, to come as a tortoise and then to put a mountain on your back. And so from the point of view of the demigods and the demons, the Suras and Asuras, Lord Tortoise was just helping them out, helping them turn the ocean. From Lord Tortoise's point of view, he was getting them to scratch his back. So this stuff is hilarious. It's just, these are most charming pastimes and original. Like, who would guess? If you're brought up in a religion where God is simply almighty and there's reverence, you would be totally faked out. You would never guess that Krishna is going to come as a fish, as a tortoise, as a boar, as a hog. A hog is not considered the most elegant creature on earth. And generally, you don't invite a hog to your, white tie dinner parties. So no one's going to think, well, God's not going to come as a hog. In fact, it's kind of a term of derision. Like when to insult each other, people say, you pig, you hog, or something like that. It's actually an insult. And yet, Krishna, no one saw this one coming. He comes as a boar. So here he's coming as a tortoise. Very interesting. So then next, Dhanvantaram, which means the incarnation of Dhanvantari, Dwadashamam, the 12th, Dwad like Dwadashi, Dwadasham means, Dwadashamam means the 12th incarnation, Trayo Dashamam Evacha, and indeed the 13th. So they're giving two here. Apayayat Suran, and this is the 13th, he protected the Suras, the Devas, Anyand, and others, Mohinya, Mohayan Striya, by sort of play on words, because the word, in other words, Mohinya, by the avatar of Mohini. So it's interesting, in this pastime of churning the ocean of milk, Krishna appeared twice, two avatars for one event. First, he appeared as Lord Tortoise so they could put the churning rod on his back. And then once the nectar was produced and the Suras and Asuras were fighting over it, Krishna came again, second time, this time as Mohini, Murti, and said to the demons, "Hi, big boys, what do you got there?" And they, of course, they completely fell for it. You know, stupid men always do. So what's it? The word Mohini, you may find this interesting, is formed from a Sanskrit verb mu, M-U-H. And from that same verbal root, you have the word mudha, which means confused, bewildered, foolish, mudha. But from the same root, you can also have the word moha. And so moha, or mohana, means confused, but confused in the sense of enchanted, like something which confuses you or even can make you foolish, but by enchanting you. And so Mohini is the feminine, means it's the feminine of one who is, you could say in English, an enchantress, one who confuses and bewilders by enchanting. So that's what the word Mohini actually means. And then you have the verb mohayan. So with the, as a woman, as a female, as a woman enchantress, enchanting, by enchanting as an enchantress, he saved the demigod. So that's what Mohinya, Mohiyan. That's what those two words mean, obviously from the same root. And apayayat, actually apayayat means he made, okay, so literally it means apayayat, he made the suras, the demigods, he made them drink, meaning the nectar. So he made the suras drink, and anyan, the others, which mean the asuras, bewildering them by his mohini form, which is a female form. So this is a rare female avatar of Krishna. And of course, there's two. The first line refers to another, Dhanvantari, and little is said about him in this verse, but Dhanvantari is said to be the avatar of Krishna who brought the medical science to the world. And I won't go into the topic of to what extent do we have his original medical science. I'll be nice and not go into that today. So, Chatur Dasham, the 14th, Narasingham of Narasingha, Chatur Dasham, Narasingham, Bibrat, holding, and then later we have the word Urav, which means on his lap.